Well, hello YouTube. This is Tierneth from the 58th Wildcard Squadron on their character called Tierneth. Very imaginative, as you can tell. I just thought I'd like to go through the new skill tree, which Arctic or Cryptic, Perfect World, all those companies that run Star Trek Online have recently released in 11.5. My overall review of it so far is I think it's bloody fantastic. They simplified it down, they made it so much easier to understand. As you can see, I was just flittering through some of the new... that reminds me, I'll get to the new specialization in a bit. So, yes, let's look at this new skill tree. As you can see, rather than spending points where you may not necessarily need them, here they've simplified it right down into these 6 columns, and you now get a total of 46 points to spend in space and then in ground. As you can see, they've simplified this further as well. They've put points, made it so that you can put a total of 10 points in this area. One of the new features that they have introduced is, if you look in this general area here, is a score point system for when you put points into each of the tech trees, whether it be tactical, science or engineering. You'll get increased points down here, and every so often you will unlock these, which I believe is every 5 points you will unlock one of these double arrows, which I must admit is very, 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 very nice, some of the abilities that you can get from them. But I shall firstly talk to you through my character, what sort of role that they fill. This character is a tactical officer. I like using science abilities, so that I focused on science more than anything else, but then with a few bits from other sections. So I'll explain what I've done with this character. What I do say here is personal preference. You don't have to follow it, but at the end of the day, it's here as a guide, a bit of information to help people out and stuff like that. So without further ado, here I go. Right, for this specific toon, I focused quite heavily on the science side. Even though it's a tactical officer, I focus quite heavily on the science side, because I do like to use a lot of exotic damage abilities. So what I've chosen to start off with, and what I'll do is I'll go through the list. On this column here, or this number 1 of engineering, is hull restoration. Basically, this adds, for each point that you have in it, it'll add X amount to a total value of 100 points in hull restoration, which gives you a 50% bonus to your healing. On to column number 2 of Lieutenant, advanced hull capacity. This will add maximum points on this column. You will get up to a maximum of 30% of your hull added on top of your current value for the hull. And then it's exactly the same with column 3 and 4, but then this is more orientated towards around your shields. And then, like they did with under the old system, they had energy weapons and projectile weapons. I've only put a barest minimum in this section because I do use energy weapons, hence why I put it in. I shall show you quickly. I use the chronoplasma beam ray due to the new ship being quite plasma orientated. So basically I put points in that, which has boosted my effective damage by, or my base damage by 50%. So, which is quite a sizable bonus. So now I'll go on to Lieutenant Command. On column number 1 for the engineering is electroplasma system flow, which is basically like EPS, your power transfer rate. Higher it is, the faster that your power transfers between specific power nodes and units like engines, not science, engines, shields, weapons and auxiliary, and that will help it transfer quicker between the two. Now this full impulse energy shunt is one of those ifs and buts sort of skills. It is quite useful due to having the higher amount of energy to start off with for your weapons, so you've got a quicker, you're at your higher end of your energy levels quicker. So that's personal preference on that one. On this one, advanced impulse expertise. Talking with a few people haven't used this. I do rate this skill quite a lot, due to the fact that it does increase your base defense as well. I know it says that your total, it only increases total speed and turn rate bonus, but what that then generates is defense. So basically, the higher your speed and the higher your turn rate, the more defense you have, due to the fact that your opponents will be missing you more. Then on to science on column 3 and 4. Column 3 was basically the control ability, but what they've also done is they've also rolled in the defense side with it as well, which has simplified the process so much easier. It makes it very universal skill now, due to the fact that it's got its defensive side to it and also the offensive side. And then also with the control ability, they've also added a new one, which is this control amplification. Activating any ability that causes an enemy to suffer a control effect will temporarily reduce their damage resistance rating. Subsequent activations refresh the duration. Control effects that continuously apply will only trigger this effect on the first application. Basically, what that means is that any gravity well, scramble sensors, jam targeting sensors, tractor beam repulsors, and all the other ones that there may be, they now cause a minus to your opponent's damage resistance, which thus means that you then do more damage because you're punching through them a lot quicker. On to column number 2 of the science. Improved drain expertise. This basically gives you now a drain effectiveness bonus and also a drain resistance bonus. And then one of the other key things that they've added is that basically whenever you do a drain now, it now puts a dot damage over time, which is based off your exotic damage because it's electrical damage. So basically the higher your particle gens, thus more damage from your drains. On to tactical. I think that's a very nice one, even though I don't use very many drains or any drains on this build. For a drain build, that could be quite good due to the fact that you're now doing extra damage and don't have to rely on your exotic damage to do the damage. This one is basically good for boosting your accuracy, so if you're finding that you're missing a lot, this is one of the key things to have. So one thing that I found, this is going to be more a PvP skill. Majority of the time, with just your standard weapons and your standard accuracy that you have, you're generally going to hit your target in PvE. So this is more of a PvP skill, I would say. And the next thing which I would say is a must is the advanced defensive manoeuvring, which increases your overall defensive value or defensive percentage, which then in turn gives you higher basically survivability and stuff like that. So I shall now go on to Commander. Right, for Commander, if you're looking for more of a tanking character, I would recommend column number 1 of Engineering. This basically gives you all your resistances that you need for your ship, up to a maximum of about 25%. So yes, this is, I would say, if you're a tank, this is just one of your key skills. This one is basically, for a tank as well, is quite key. This one improves your regeneration rate for all parts of your ship, which is your hull healing and your shield healing. This, when you're in combat, that extra 20% does make a very, very, very big difference. I did notice it straight away when I changed into it from the old system to this system. I found that the regeneration rate of all things was overall a lot higher and made me my tank a hell of a lot more survivable. So next one, this I think is quite key. If you don't put a lot in your tanking side, you're more of a smack 'em and run away sort of character, or you're just focusing more on your DPS, or you just want points in to get your science ultimate skills. This, I would say, is quite nice because it gives you a bonus 10% to your regen per 6 seconds, which is very, very nice. And another one, if you haven't got much in your hull healing and you're focusing more on your shields and stuff like that, one of the key things that I could recommend is this 20% to negate damage. This is damage against everything, whether it be tachyon beam, which drains your shield, normal torpedoes, energy weapons, anything that basically hits your shield, this will negate the damage, or point basically 20% of the damage coming in onto your shields, which thus gives you survivability that way, and it's quite a nice skill. Over to the tactical side on Commander, crit severity basically on the first column, and the second column is crit chance. Crit chance, crit severity, if you're in a DPS build, you're going to want both of these at the end of the day. So yeah, I don't really need to explain that one. You guys know what crit chance and crit severity does at the end of the day. So I shall move on to the next column, which is engineering. Captain engineering is basically your power levels, basically boosting your skills in the specific areas where you want additional power or higher rate of power or higher power levels in that specific area. Then if I go to the next section on science, this one is your exotic damage boost. If you're using exotic skills like resonance beam, or destabilizing resonance beam, subspace vortex, gravity well, anything that does any form of damage that does not come from a torpedo or a energy weapon, this boosts that skill. So basically, if it's got a dot damage on the energy weapon, that will then be boosted by your exotic damage, and so on and so forth. This one I think is quite a key skill for any damage build at all. So I think this is one of the key skills that you may want to purchase. What this does is basically at 10 kilometers you will now only suffer a 20% reduction to your damage. So basically having this at max will give you the 20%. Instead of being minus 50%, it now is only at minus 20%. So you've gained an extra 30% damage just by that particular section. Of course, if you're closer to the target, you're going to hit them harder. But if you're coming into a fight from, let's say, just outside of 10 kilometers, and you want to keep your damage rotations coming up and keeping your damage going and stuff like that, this is one of the key things I think that you may need. These two here on the tactical side, one is armor penetration and the other is shield penetration. So yes, for a DPS build, if you're using energy weapons or projectiles, this is a very, very, very key skill for your damage, because if you're negating their armour, you're thus doing more damage. If you're negating their shields or their shield resistances, you're then thus doing more damage, which then in turn increases your damage output in total. Right, on to the final section. Well, not final section, general. This, I'll start with engineering. This section here basically boosts your power to the maximum levels, where it boosts all your power levels by a total of 5. On this section, basically when your power levels go below 75, it will start scaling up. Basically, when every time that you do or use the power, for instance, on weapons, you'll notice that your power levels go down. And what this skill will do is that it will boost your power levels, and it will boost it back up into there a little bit quicker. Basically, it works in conjunction with the EPS power flow. So that one is quite a nice skill for a damage user. Then what this one does, it basically just reduces all the cooldowns of your engineering skills. So for a tank, this is going to, for a whole tank, this is going to be very, very, very key. Then we go over to the science. Same again, this one just reduces all your science abilities, which is basically like shield, heal, your hazard emitters, and then all the other exotic damage ability, your control effects, your drains, you know, all those other sorts of science skills that you've got there. Then what this shield mastery does is basically every several seconds you will gain a mastery. While this effect is active, the next critical hit you suffer will be completely negated, resulting in 0 damage being dealt to you. So you can kind of guess that this is a very, very, very key skill. I will make a note of this, that it is only 1 critical hit. And as you can see, it says it in the bloody yellow orange writing, Sean. That's stupid. People are going to know that. But anyway, I just thought I'd make that key. It is actually 1. There is no bug behind it. There's no bugs or anything like that that you might be able to exploit or anything like that. That one is every 20 seconds you negate a critical hit. So, yeah. Then the shield absorption, basically whenever you receive a critical hit and you negate that damage, 20% of that damage that you would have received is applied as a shield heal to all your facings. So basically, if you're in PvP and somebody wants to try and vape you in a couple of shots, that very first shot will instantly heal you, your shield straight back up. So yeah, and it will negate one of their critical hits, which is, you know, quite nice. And then the shield reflection, which is very nice, I think. When shield mastery is triggered by an incoming critical hit, it will also reflect a portion of the damage back, which is 20% of the incoming critical hit damage reflected at the attacker. This one is not boosted by exotic damage in any way, shape or form, so it's basically a flat damage, 20% you reflect back, that simple. Then for tactical, this one is quite a good one as a team player. So what it does, it boosts your own hanger pets, but then it also boosts your teammates as well. And then also basically boosts their health of their hull and shield. Then on the defensive coordination number 2, it will also boost their defense rating and their damage resistances. And then what this one does is offensive coordination. It boosts the teammates and your pets accuracy and base damage for basically as well. Then this, as you know, this skill here basically boosts um, your tactical ability, tactical bridge officer ability cooldowns. So yeah, if you're DPS, that could be very, very useful for you, or a tactical DPS, that could be very useful for you. Right, now I shall go to explain on the specialization points. Every 5 points you will gain access to a ability. So I'll just go on engineering, for instance, on the first one. As you can see, it gives you a choice between either having hanger health or battery expertise. Your hanger pets have an additional 10% maximum hold capacity, so if you're a carrier player, very, very useful. For everyone else, I would recommend the battery expertise, because this does increase the duration of your the Pirates call or the Delta Alliance call, and also any other devices that you may have. It also increases the duration and the effects by 100%. So quite a key one there for engineering. On the next one, I would personally recommend the subsystem repair. If they can't take off your subsystem, you don't lose your power, and then also you get your, if it does go offline, it then comes back online a hell of a lot quicker. And then also means that you can carry on doing whatever you're doing, whether it be damage, stuff like that. So next one that I can recommend is this is engineering. You've got your engine subsystem power or your shoulder subsystem power. Here you've got a personal choice. You just put it in there wherever you want the extra power. So if you're a bit low on your shields, put it in shields. If you're a bit low on engines, put it in engines. There we go, enough explained on that one. Then same again for here, this one's weapon and auxiliary. Increases your, again, personal choice. If you need more power in your weapons or more power in your auxiliary, choose one of those two. And then we come to the first of our ultimate abilities from skills, EPS corruption. So, corrupt the electroplasma systems of your foe, causing them to burn out components over time. So basically what that does is causes a burn over time, or dot damage over time. Direct engines will also cause the victims to suffer additional plasma damage as the corrupted ESPs is fed additional power. Then what these 3 extra arrow or lightning bolts do, arrows, Sean. Stupid. Right, yes, what these extra lightning bolts do is add additional effects to your ultimate ability. And as you can see, if you've got 3 point additional, so if you've got 27 points in engineering, you would then be able to unlock all of the ultimate enhancers. What they do, any weapon activation also triggers a subsystem power loss for the opponent, and that's on all of their power as well. The damage over time is also increased with enhanced corruption, and the very, very, very nice one for engineers is the additional plasma damage triggered by weapon activation becomes an AoE blast, and that's anything within 2 kilometers of the target. So it's quite an extensive blast, but yeah, that's what that one does. Then we go on to science. This, I would personally recommend the transwarp cooldown, because at the end of the day, how often are you going to go flying around the subsystem? Unless you're doing the Tour of the Galaxy mission, then I'd recommend Sector Space 1. So next one is the maximum shield capacity, or the Starship Stealth. Basically, top one increases the shield capacity even further, and then Starship Stealth basically increases the stealth value of your cloaking devices and other similar abilities by 100. The distance at which enemies can detect you through stealth is calculated using the formula perception minus stealth minus 50% equals kilometers. So basically, whatever the total value of your perception or the opponent's perception, the total amount of your stealth minus the perception, divide it by 2, and that equals how quickly they will then spot you, or how far away they can spot you from. Starship Perception doubles the benefit of stealth detection rating that you can gain from auxiliary power. PvP, that's very, very useful. And control resistance basically adds another 10% to resisting control effects, so that's always going to be a nice one for a tank. And if we go on to the next one, Subsystem Energy Drain provides an additional 10% resistance to power drain effects or shield drain effects. I personally went for the shield drain effects due to ISA, or Infected Space Conduit. Advanced due to their drain, so I personally chose that because I do that quite a lot to register my DPS, and also I find it quite good fun, and so on and so forth. And then we come on to the ultimate ability. Basically what this does is, for a small window of time, you can force the universe to see things your way, vastly increasing the chance that every bit of damage done to your foes will be a critical hit. What this basically means is that you will guaranteed, for a minimum of 15 seconds, have plus 50% critical hit chance. Then for the ultimate enhancers, when you get up to 27 points, I didn't really need the whole healing, so I only needed to put 26 in. So foes suffer attacking damage resistant rating debuff as well. So basically every time you hit them with a critical, they then start getting further damage resistance reductions, which then means that you're doing more damage to them. And then the final one, basically, the top one gives you a hull and shield healing bonus, which I believe is 20% shield heal bonus. And then the probability window is increased to 30 seconds. So that's a very, very, very nice one. This one, I would personally, unless you're a carrier, I would wholeheartedly, whether you're DPS or tank, I would wholeheartedly recommend threat control. From the new specialization, which I'll go into in a minute, that threat control is one of the most key skills for the new specialization, so I'd recommend that. This one is basically your projectiles. This boosts your crit chance or crit severity on projectiles and mines. On that again, it's personal choice. I don't use any projectiles or mines on this one, so that was kind of pretty pointless for me, so I just went willy-nilly and put it in the crit severity. So then on the next one is again energy weapons, crit chance, crit severity. Depending on whether you're Romulan or Federation and Klingon. If you're Romulan, I would recommend the crit severity. If you're Klingon, I would actually in turn recommend Klingon Federation. I'd actually in turn recommend the crit chance. Then finally, not finally, but the accuracy and defense choice there. I let you make that. It's accuracy or defense, 5% on both. So I didn't make the choice. Right, this one marks the foe and devote all available resources to taking them down. Each time you hit the marked foe with an energy weapon, your weapon's firing cycle will speed up progressively, faster and faster. That's up to a maximum of 10 stacks for a certain amount. So, for instance, if I hover over... Oh, I can't see it because I haven't got it on here. Basically, with each hit up to a maximum of 10 stacks, it will also reduce the bridge officer cooldowns. Then Frenzied Assault, you'll also start to get a damage bonus for 10 seconds with stacking bonus as well. And then what the final one does, it passes that ability to, so if it's marked on, for instance, on ISA the gateway, once you've killed the 2 donuts or the generators, if a tactical player puts that on there and other people start firing at it, they will then get the benefits from the Frenzied Assault as well. So quite a nice team building one that one is. So that then explains all the skills and all the other abilities that you now get with it, so on and so forth. Then for ground, This section here is based on your weapons, whether the more damage that they do, the critical chance and critical severity, and the armor penetration that they get. This section here is about increasing your shield resistances and your shield capacity. And this section here is boosting your own health, boosting your armor, and then also boosting your regeneration rate. And then this section here is boosting your kit performance, so increasing the damage that it may do, or the recharge time, all those sort of things. So, and then what we got down here is basically all your bridge officer training manuals, and then a couple, every other one you get a willpower or device mastery. So basically that's your kits and stuff like that. So then on this one, your again more skills books that you can make. Then here we go, you got improved aim or improved couch. One boosts your damage while you're aiming, the other one boosts your dodge rating when you're crouched, so quite nice. Then more skills, then this one is your run speed, and then the attacking with melee grants you 20% run speed for 2 seconds. This is subsequent instead of stacking. So basically every time you smack them with a melee, you get run speed. Then what the next one does is basically if you get hit with or attacking with melee, instead of doing it gives you the 20% run speed, it'll lower the opponent's defense resistance rating. So quite nice. And then the next one, more skills. Then this one, it improves your flanking damage or your flanking resistance. Then this one, more skills. And then this one increases either your weapon proficiency and critical hits, or your defense, which is your endurance training, and your armor and personal shields. So quite nice. Then I would like to go under the new space only specialization. Like I was saying before, having that threat control from the very first skill that you can select from 5 points in tactical skill tree. This is fantastic for that one particular thing. Okay. What this does is it basically boosts what your threat or not threatening does. Basically, you'll get a bonus to your critical hit chance, critical severity there. On this section, basically, whenever you get hit, which every 10 seconds, you get an automatic feedback of 300%. And then also, every 45 seconds, you can completely ignore a torpedo or mine damage. Very, very nice. Awesome. Then this one, basically, if you're in threatening stance, you will generate 50% more threat. While not in threatening stance, you pulsate your foes within 10 kilometers, generating 50% less threat. So you actually, with the threat control skill, you will actually lose 150% threat. So that you will generate less threat. So that basically means that the person who's you're threatening, yeah, awesome. Traction warfare, basically while in threatening stance, once every 20 seconds, bridge officer and captain hull heals reduce the bridge officer recharge time by 30%. On this one, heal 5% of your maximum hull per affected foe over 10 seconds. So basically for every foe that is within that is getting threatened by you, you will receive 5% additional hull, which is quite nice. It's 5 stacks, an additional 25% hull, and then for the non-threatening, it's an additional 15% damage. Very nice. Well, that's explained all the new things. Just on a side note, a quick review on the new Na'Kuhl Daemosh Science Vessel. I love it. I think it's an absolutely fantastic ship, especially the console. Very, very nice. Gives you up to 30 seconds of damage immunity, where the duplicate and yourself can still attack as normal, but then you receive no damage whilst the duplicate is still alive. So a very, very nice skill. 5 science, 3 engineering, and 3 tactical. So typical science: 3 at the front, 3 at the back. Nice secondary deflector, and 3 devices. So overall, very, very nice. One thing I do like about it is its base turn rate of 16. Has a turn rate of 16, so a very, very, very manoeuvrable ship. So, and the inertia skidding on this ship does help when you're just trying to keep that tight circle around your opponent, just so that you can keep facing towards them. It's very, very nice. So yes, I like this ship a lot. Then because I got this from the Na'Kuhl Raider. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but this one is actually very nice. I would recommend waiting until you've got 2 charges, because if you double click it really, really quickly, you can get your 2 charges going off one after the other, because after the first one hits, they take 50% additional damage from that next barrage. So I'd always wait until the next one for that. So yeah, make sure you have 2 charges before using it. If charged with plasma weapons and stuff like that, it can be very, very useful. So I like it. That reminds me, I'm going to take that one off, but I'll do that when I go back to the station. I'm going to change that for the plasma wave. Sticky web was quite nice while I was waiting to get a certain skill, but now I can afford to take that one out and utilise something which will be slightly better, which is the destabilising resonance beam. Chronometric capacitor for a science build. This is quite key due to the exotic damage. Don't have to worry about the polaron damage and the torpedo damage unless you use torpedoes. Up to you. I do like these because these give you a stacking bonus of up to 5% whenever you do damage, and also it boosts your exotic damage and your drain expertise, which is always quite nice. And then of course the plus 25% shield capacity when shield heals, a power field exciter, plus 10 weapon power, can occur every 30 seconds, so quite a nice one there. And then the 75 exotic. This one is a key one. I think this would be a key for any build really now. Skill cooldown on anything and gives you firing haste, which is really, really, really nice. Affects up to 5 targets at maximum, so very, 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 very nice. RCS accelerator. I've got this based on my particle gens, as you can tell. So yeah, very, very nice. Boosts your turn rate, which gives you more manoeuvrability. And when healed, applies a conductive, which reduces damage to shields by 10%, and also gives you a further 20% turn rate, which is always nice. And then we've just explained that one. Oh yes, 12% critical severity and plus 15% shield hit points. Very, very, very nice. For my weapons, I've actually gone, due to the plasma nature of this ship, I've actually gone for the chronoplasma due to the flight speed reduction and also the plasma burn that it gives. I've gone for the Solene deflector, very, very nice due to the fact that it gives you plus 50 particle gens, always very, very nice, and also it gives you a little bit in drain expertise as well. So universally for a exotic build, very, 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 very nice. Oh, and it also increases your structural health and shield hit points as well, so, and gives you accuracy, so quite nice. The one that I've used is this one, which is your exotic, control expertise, shield capacity, shield restoration, and a further 10 points in thingy. And then also, whenever you use tachyon beam, energy siphon, Tychon's rift, In fact, I might change that one out because I don't use any of them. Oh no, I'd use the destabilization resonance beam. So then basically that gets another damage. So yep, that's quite nice. But yeah, I will ideally be going towards the Riemann shield and the Riemann set for this section, these three here. So I hope that helps. If you want more videos like this on ship reviews and stuff like that, let me know. If I've got the ship, I will do a review on it. And hope you like it. Cheers guys, catch you later.